Welcome to Nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter, joined by my co-host and Uncle David Scholler, as per usual. Well, Dave, we had some groundbreaking, earth-shattering type of moves in the NBA. We're going to get into college hoop like we always do, but let's just start with the big one. Luka Doncic traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis. You had a situation there where Luka Doncic, the Mavericks said they were concerned with his conditioning and his work ethic, but it's very rare you see a guy in his prime that's a top five player. And let's be honest, he's more than a face of the franchise. I think he's one of those guys that goes beyond that. Someone that was leaning into, Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant territory with all he's accomplished, led him to an NBA Finals last year. So to see a guy at his age get dealt like that, really unprecedented, I would say. And what were your thoughts when you heard about the trade, and what do you think of it for both teams?
Well, it's a weird trade also because you very rarely see a trade where it's one star for another. Um,
Charles Barkley said that you don't swap stars for stars usually. You don't see
yeah,
that.
it's very
Especially,
strange. I will say though that they were tired of his weight. The fact that he's been hurt, I don't think that we know the full story. I think they know something that probably we don't. The Mavericks obviously know that maybe he's ballooned up to maybe like 270 or something. I mean, who knows? The thing is, he is a generational player. I would say though about this generation's players is this generation's generational players are guys that dominate the ball though, and I don't know, I don't know how effective that is. I know LeBron and Luka constantly have the ball in life, so
I think
I don't know.
that's what
I
the
find those
Mavericks
guys
GM's
different.
concern is. I think Nico Harrison. I think they look at his situation. Is this kind of like a got a Carmelo Anthony feel where he dominates the ball and already puts up numbers and we win enough games, but you're not ultimately going to get the prize at the end of the rainbow, a championship. So I think that's a fair criticism of him. He's not a great defensive player by any means.
Oh God, he can't guard me.
Yeah, he's not someone who's in the best condition. Although I have to say, looking at photos of him right now when he got off the plane and got seen with the Lakers, I don't think he's 270. But his
No,
weight has definitely been a concern, and injuries. So they don't want. I think the Mavericks didn't want to be saddled with him and have like a Joel Embiid situation. I think they have kind of fears on that regard. And I will say,
yeah,
I think this makes them actually a little more versatile because now Anthony Davis is going to play the four position, the power forward, which he's always kind of wanted to do. It's a risky proposition, though. There's no question about it because we know Anthony Davis and his injury history. This could be a total swing and a miss here and a complete
yeah.
zero. But
It's um it's also weird because there's an outside theory that the new owner of the Mavs is thinking of trying to move this team to
Las
Vegas.
Vegas, right, right, and this
There's
kind of
also
and the Mavericks, they lost 700,000 Instagram followers. So obviously, you worry about do you lose the fan base with a move like this? I know you can't be thinking about that as a general manager or an owner, but you have to also, let's be honest, this is a business. You have to factor that in as well. So
what's amazing though is that Lakers always get the star.
yes,
It's been that way for they got Wilt, they got Kareem. It's been the same ever since.
yeah,
It's they got
got
Shaq.
Shaq. Yep.
They just do it. They go out and they just get it. And they they had Kobe homegrown. But they always go out and they seek. And now you can replace LeBron with this guy for another 10 years.
Oh no, JJ
Oh,
Redick has got to be happier than a pig in shit right now because you
yeah.
can now latch yourself onto this guy. The fan base is obviously going to be very happy about it. So now you have your future post LeBron. For the Lakers
Yeah.
long term, I think it's an excellent move.
And the Mavericks just picked up what's his face from the Sixers there, Martin. So that's a good pickup for them.
Caleb Martin,
So
yeah.
and then for the Lakers, LeBron and him, people, all these idiots on these basketball websites talk about the Lakers are going to win. No, they're not. They're going to get killed on the board. They're going
Defensively,
to have
they're
to
absolutely going to be horrendous. LeBron can't play.
LeBron, Reeves,
Yeah,
or Luca can't guard me.
right.
Luca has no interest in guarding. I just think that the Mavs got tired of the booze and stuff. And plus, he's going to be owed $345 million if you
Yeah,
hold
I
on to
think
this
they were
guy.
hesitant to pay that much. It's not that they didn't want him, but to pay that much money, I think that was kind of scary to them. I think that proposition
Sure.
forward. So.
And I think that it's a situation where, they just didn't want to do that. Like I said, I'm not surprised on the Lakers end, although it's nice to see that it travels from one generation of GMs to the other. That they always wind up with a star. With Jerry West there, it's one thing, but here we are, way removed from Jerry West, and Rob Pelinka did the same thing. So it's a good move for the Lakers. I just think that it's not going to pay off like with this team. I think they're going to try to build around him. I don't think the Lakers are thinking about it for this year. I think, people who think that aren't really thinking it through. Him and LeBron are not winning crap uh, in the West, especially. There's so many difficult teams in the West. But at the same time, it's a good move for the Lakers, I think. But again, the Lakers, the Mavs didn't get enough back, I guess. But then again, I think they didn't want the 345 million is what it comes down to.
Just to make kind of insult to injury, Luka Doncic, he just bought a $15 million house in Dallas last week. You do that, and then this happens. Obviously, that is going to make those plans be changed. So it's just kind of, I have to say, it was absolutely earth shattering. Me and Connor and Gordon were out at a bar and we were looking at our phones. We're like, Jesus, I know we've had a few drinks, but my God, I don't think we've drank that much. I thought it was a joke at first, for sure. It's just
Yeah, with Twitter today, you never know what you're gonna get.
Dallas, by doing this, I think what they're hoping for is too, you have someone like Kyrie Irving. Maybe he can get to another gear now with Luka now out of there. He'll have the ball more. So
Sure.
maybe they're hoping that you'll have more of how Kyrie was in Cleveland. So that's got to be the thought process there. And Nico Harrison, the Mavericks general manager, said defense wins championships. Was a shot at Luka Doncic right there for sure. But everyone knows he does not play any defense.
Well, they're gonna have some depth up top now, Dallas. I mean, between Gabbard and Lively, who's one of the best defenders there is.
Yeah, and Anthony Davis is a
Um,
good defender
and Anthony Davis, that's a
in his
hell
own
of a
right.
defensive line. I mean, Kyrie doesn't play a lot of D, but at least he'll have an opportunity if he gets someone gets by him. There'll be help at the basket.
Right. So we have a situation there where the Mavericks, I mean, those teams are going to be obviously it's going to be must see TV to watch those teams now
I
because
hope they play each other.
yeah, I think that like I said, long term Lakers, I think my prediction is get the better end of this trade. And Jason Kidd at the press conference with Nico
Yeah,
Harrison, it looks like he'd rather be anywhere but at that press conference because for
sure,
someone like him to have Luka there, that's job security. If Luka Doncic likes you and wants to keep you there as the coach, you're going to stay the coach because the
sure.
star player, if they don't want a guy to go, they're not going to go.
Plus, J Kidd's a
Now,
great passer,
yeah, but now you're going
and
to
so
have
is Luca.
yeah, long term for Jason Kidd, that's going to be more challenging now to win there for certain. For people that are anti-Lakers fans, this is just a very frustrating time because you could really post LeBron. I think they were thinking, where the hell did we stand? Now you have that answer for yourself there, and I
Does
think
LeBron still have not have enough help? I bust all the people's balls who are LeBron fans. Like, does he still not have enough help?
to me, it's not a match at all, though, because both these guys need the ball. LeBron, I think, has no. I mean, if we've talked about it before, and you've mentioned it a lot, and it's true. If LeBron really wanted to make this work, he could, but it will require him not to have the ball nearly as much as he does now. Luka should have the
He'll
ball, and
never do
LeBron,
it. Ego's too big.
and like you said, over LeBron, he's still in good enough shape off a stagger screen every time, but. Will he do that? I think highly doubtful. But if he really
No,
wants to make this work, he should have the ball less. I know
ego's
you
too
said
big.
Magic later in his career, he altered the way he played completely different. Was not at all how he played when he was, in his first few years in the NBA. He played much differently as he got older.
Yeah, well, guys want to win.
The better guys do. Kobe Bryant changed how he played. LeBron should do the same now, especially that's all you're going to be judged on now is if you win a championship or not.
Sure,
And if he changed how he played and he won it that way, I don't think even the people that don't like LeBron, you would have to take your hat off to him and say, hey, the guy changed how he played and he did the right thing to win.
sure.
So I think that's what he should do. But will he? I think we know the answer to that. But
Yeah,
this idea where they're just going to take turns dominating the ball and taking turns, whatever,
not
isolation,
going to work.
that is not. Yeah, I agree with you. You run into someone like the Thunder, there's no way that's going to do it. So it's going to be. I mean, it's a fascinating move. I think it's very interesting. It definitely shakes things up, and the ratings probably will jump for it. The Lakers,
Sure.
their games
It
now are
gets
obviously
people
going to
talking
see.
hoop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Transition topic, Uncle Dave. We're going to get into it. A three-team deal between the Bulls, the Kings, and the Spurs. And the Spurs wind up landing DeAaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. And the Kings get Zach LaVine and a bunch of picks that are in future drafts. And the Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Herter, and the 2025 pick from the Spurs. So the Bulls, obviously, they're just punting on whatever they have there, and they're going to just be a rebuild. But the Spurs, you team Darian Fox with Wembanyama. That's a
And
dynamite duo
Castle.
right there.
I
Up to
love
Castle
Castle
as
too.
well. Yep. So the Spurs, I think, out of this deal, they're the winners, no question about it. I think they got the best player, and they're pairing him with already, I think, the face of their franchise. So to me, San Antonio now, their future is set and looking quite bright, I think.
Well, it's funny. A lot of people thinking it's a little bit of a nervous move because they say that it's only a second year and you're already showing that you got to win now. Like it's a little bit of a panic there because supposedly he doesn't like to, nobody likes to lose, but supposedly it's not been as smooth a transition as they're saying behind the scenes. And the other thing is it's weird for the Kings because now you have three two guards playing, but you have no point guard. So
Yeah,
you got DeRozan, and you got Monk, DeRozan, and who's this, the guy that just got back? He just got back Levine.
Levine.
So
Yeah, I mean,
what are the
like
Kings?
you said, it's all three guys who kind of play the same way. So I don't
Kind
they
of like
don't
the
gain
Suns.
anything.
It's like kind of like the Suns. You got three
Yeah,
scores,
yeah. So
but
to me,
I
it
mean,
makes no sense.
maybe Sabonis will play the point for you. I'm happy for Jones to get to Chicago. But I tell you, it's a strange move. DeAaron Fox is too good to do that with. But again, so you got two top 7 or 8 players on the move in almost a third in Davis in one, in 1 week. It's kind of crazy.
No, it absolutely is. I mean, we still and the Suns also are talking about that they're open to trading Kevin Durant. So you still might have more deals done here. It's
Sure.
just it's an insane this NBA trade deadline is definitely one to
They got
remember.
people talking, and that's what they wanted. And the NBA ratings have sucked. They got people talking, and so this is what we're going to get. And at least it gets people at the water cooler conversation. It's like the conversations that the bubble gets. The bubble is going to get conversations in March Madness, and the bubble is going to be really interesting this year.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. I think that San Antonio now, I think they're definitely you pair Wembanyama with Fox. I think that they really, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
future is absolutely
they're a threat.
yeah, no, there's no question about it. I'm looking at the standings right now. And all right, the Spurs, they're 5 games under 500 right now, and they're on the outside of the playoff picture right now. But the Warriors are only 4 games ahead of them. So, I mean, I think they definitely could finish the season strong and get a playoff berth. There's no question about it.
Yeah,
Like you said, Sacramento right now, they're 25 and 24. I just don't see them finishing strong. Like you said, they have three guys that play the same way. I think they're going to really fall off. And we talked about it. The Kings have had a nice run since Doug Christie took over. I just don't understand what is this a situation you think where they just didn't want to re-sign Fox? Are they looking to,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they got a bunch of picks, but like you said, those are lottery tickets though. Those aren't it's not a sure thing that those are going to be exceptional picks or high picks by any means. So
Yeah, I can't imagine not wanting to. Excuse me, sign Fox. I mean, such a great player,
We
plays
we were
hard, plays every day.
we talked about it on our last show. 27 years old and plays both ends of the floor. I don't You're not getting better than that. So
Yeah, him and SGA, you're not getting better than those two
I don't
guys.
understand what the hell the Kings are doing. But I guess that's why the Kings are the Kings. So it's just
That's
I
why
mean
the Kings have been good twice in 20 years.
yeah, and it's obviously that just happened to be probably by accident because my goodness, this is just a situation where I don't understand why you would get rid of a guy like this in his prime. But hey, the Spurs are going to be the beneficiary of that, and you have to deal with them now. If you're the Kings, you have to deal with that
And
dude.
that's good for the league. It's
Yeah,
good
no,
for
it
the
is.
league.
It is. It is because it was exciting to see the Kings too the last few years.
Yeah.
They had some pretty, good seasons there, but where they got back into the playoffs. So I think you're going to kind of see them be back to the cellar dweller. So San Antonio, again, it's just a situation where they've won all these years, and it looks like they're in a great situation moving forward with those two. Certainly.
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing. The Steph Curry controversy about him being an all-star. And for the fans to bitch about it, I mean, that's where the all-star's been for years. Same thing in baseball. I mean, Reggie Jackson one year played about a third of the games and was voted in to be an all-star. Some people complaining, Kendrick Perkins saying that Steph Curry shouldn't be an all-star. And, I mean, it's a strange thing to say, but he probably doesn't deserve it.
I think also there's a lot of times where guys got voted in that were at the end of their career, but they kind of were. It was an honorable kind of honorary thing,
Sells tickets.
like Shaquille O'Neal, his last few All-Star games. He wasn't an All-Star anymore, but he was someone that was great for the NBA all those years, and he kind of had like an honorary Godfather type of treatment there. And a lot of guys, at the end of their career have that. They're not necessarily what they were, but they get voted in by
Sells
the fans.
tickets too. It's good for the league.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then you also had Uncle Dave. You had LaMelo Ball. People are saying that's an all-star snub there. What do you think of that? Now he's put up numbers. There's no question about it. But he's on a losing team, and I mean to say a losing team, it's to say it kindly. They're 12 and 35. So
Yeah. It's
it's
hard to say you're an
some
all-star if
some
nobody
people
else
say
around
it's
is winning.
right. Exactly. Some people say you're a compiler. You're putting up numbers on a team that isn't doing anything positive. and there's no restrictions for you. And he's taking 12 threes a game. His assist to turnover ratio is 2.
Yeah.
So, he's not great on as far as taking care of the ball. So you have a
Well, he's getting
situation.
numbers. We've said in the past, it's the easiest league in the world to put up meaningless numbers in.
And he's a guy where I kind of want to see him go somewhere else and accept a lesser role and play some meaningful basketball. I mean, you've been on with the Hornets now for this is your 5th year. You've not even been close to getting to the playoffs. I think you have to prove to yourself now, hey, can I play winning basketball and perhaps get a championship? Because that's really we talk about guys and entertaining and are they what kind of numbers they have, but we also ask ourselves, what's the first one of the first things that comes to mind? Did he win a championship? Was he a part of a championship team? And if you're
Yeah.
a
Well,
LaMelo Ball, yes, you're putting up a lot of numbers and you have name ID because of how your father was and your brothers and all that whole story. All of you playing at Chino Hills together. But I mean, you'll be forgotten about if you just rot away in Charlotte and you just compile numbers, but you don't play any meaningful basketball in May or June.
yeah, and the thing about Charlotte is, um, they've missed on some picks over the years, and they're not where they should have been. They starting out with like Kid Gilchrist, for example. They just missed on kids, and they've had some great opportunities with picks over the years, and they just didn't get it done. They took the kid from Connecticut High a couple of years ago, didn't get it done with him. I mean, they've had some tough picks, so it hasn't worked out.
So the All-Star game, every year you have one of these situations where you have a guy, it's like the teams that don't make the cut in the NCAA tournament. There's always one or two where
Sure,
it kind of stirs up the internet and the fan base of college basketball or the NBA. And those, like you
gets
said,
everybody talking now, doesn't it?
those are two guys. Steph Curry, yes. If Steph Curry was not Steph Curry, he probably wouldn't have been an All-Star. But guess what? He is Steph Curry, and he's done again. He's drawn a lot of interest around to the NBA. There's no question about it. So he gets kind of grandfathered in. He gets the benefit of that. So I have no problem with it, quite frankly. There's a quote here from Michael Jordan, and this is when he was playing with the Wizards at the time. It is, quote, 20 years from now, you'll never see someone play sick or get on the floor with a sore ankle. Now,
Right.
how about that right there? If that's not a time machine type of quote there and going back in time and then predicting the
Sure.
future, I don't know what is right there. That right there, obviously MJ saw the writing on the wall even then when it was kind of a more, shall we say, a nitty and gritty type of league. He saw the opening for this kind of how the NBA is played now. It's a lot softer and guys mentally, physically a lot more softer. So, what do you think of that quote there from the great
Well, it
Michael
reminds me of the
Jordan?
other thing. Reminds me of the other thing that Kevin Garnett was saying about how we got you guys all this guaranteed money from these owners, and you guys are ruining it. And
Yeah, you're pissing it
basically, the
away.
next
Right.
next time the deal, you're killing the golden goose, and the next time you get a deal, the owners are not going to go for the guaranteed money and the big contracts. And meanwhile, all these guys run around and talk about fairness and stuff, and meanwhile, the guys at the bottom are getting less than ever, and the guys at the top are getting more than ever. So for me, Kevin Garnett is right, and Michael Jordan is right, and Michael was a prophet for saying that. And at the same time, it's sad to admit that. The other part of it is Kevin Garnett's one I really thought stuck to home too. I mean, just you're ruining what's going on here. We're getting you guys all this money that you wanted, and yeah, guys don't take the floor. And Joel Embiid is it's a goddamn disgrace. With the you know the kid from the Spurs over the years, everybody thinks one of the greatest of all time. The kid doesn't fucking play. I'm sorry,
Kawhi
you don't
Leonard,
play.
yeah.
You don't. I don't want to hear from you. So it's really sad. Meanwhile, you got guys like, D Rose who got hurt, who couldn't play. But these guys, they milk crap like, it's just like a couple of last week, I think it was stiffness kept Joel Embiid out of the game. Like, what are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, stiffness. Tell Larry Bird that, right?
The
Or
funniest thing
Dennis
too, you see,
Rodman.
it's even in baseball. Like, as a pitcher myself, I pitched in college, and you get soreness after you
You got to
pitch,
play through that though. You got to push
and
through
one of
that
the
stuff.
and one of the designations for a pitcher today is overall soreness. They say to get you out. I'm like, when does that not happen? Overall soreness.
Right.
You got to
When
be
are you not
freaking
feeling
kidding me.
sore, right?
Yeah. So after you pitch, your whole side is a little tight. But it's just the designations that have just made it so goddamn soft. It's just it's frightening.
You look at mixtapes or highlights or even game footage of, for instance, there's guys that I'll mention here. Guys like Kenyon Martin and Jermaine O'Neal, they just played so damn
Wow, Kenyon
hard.
Martin,
They
great
just
player.
they just played so damn hard, these guys. Kevin Garnett, another guy, just the passion
Latrell
in which these
Sprewell.
guys played with. It kind of you could feel it through the TV or the screen, the
Yeah,
passion these guys played with. I think that's really what's missing in today's NBA. Those guys back then, they wore it on their sleeve. They were very passionate and energetic and vocal, and you could tell every game meant something to them. Whereas today, it's a lot more cutting corners and a lot softer. So I think that just grit and passion is missing from today's NBA. So I think you could get
yeah.
more of that in the game. And I think that would absolutely help the ratings too. So,
That's why it's hard to watch sometimes. And then in the playoffs, they try to turn it on with defense, and they all get hurt.
and like you said, I think there's something really to that. Guys, they have not built up the calluses needed for when you get into the playoffs. The regular season is so much of a joke when, like you said, you try to turn on the Jets, and now guys are pulling stuff from their tearing stuff because they're not used to that type of torque and real knit and grit. So that's when guys
Yeah,
really
but you
start
watch when we're talking during
getting
the
hurt.
NBA playoffs, they'll have a plethora of injuries. It's just a disgrace.
Yeah.
It's more than the collision sport of football. It's a disgrace because guys just can't handle the defense and the extra, giddy up on the cut, or
Right.
basically the extra, physicality of a rebound. It's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just thought it was cool to kind of look at that quote from Michael Jordan there, really, like you said, prophetizing really what was to come, and he was absolutely right. So I'm sure back then people might have been saying, he was kind of, the older statesman right there, maybe resenting the younger guys or whatever, but he was certainly right because look at where we are now, 20 years later. So he was absolutely correct.
Yeah, he was.
So, all right, Uncle Dave, we'll get into this game I was at Saturday. I'd like to just highlight that because I had a for those of you that are listening, I was at the Virginia Tech game at Virginia watching, and I have to say, obviously, anyone watching this that's been to a college basketball game, you know this. The energy that's in the building when you're watching a game in an arena is just incredible. Just really,
Sure.
you feel just like it's a blessing almost to be there, and just a great atmosphere. And you could attest to it, Uncle Dave. You've been there watching the Virginia Cavaliers. How great is it to be there watching a game?
Well, I mean, the arena is it's a great architecture school, and you can tell whoever built the arena had a great degree in architecture because
It was
to
built in
me,
'06, that arena. '06.
yeah, my favorite kind of arena is a pit, and that arena is a pit. It's got high sides and it's got the nice end zones, and it's made so well. You get out of your seat, and there's like a walkway right behind you to get to all the concessions and stuff. It's just made so well, that arena. I love that arena very much. Like I said, you can tell it's a great architecture school because whoever made it definitely made it good for the fans, and it's something that I really like. It's just a great place to see games. I'll be going down there probably in a week or two to see Cooper Flag. So I'm looking forward to that. Even though I'm a Duke fan, I'll have to keep my rootings under wraps because of Gordon working in Virginia. But so
That's a
I'll
game
have
you
to,
just go and you enjoy.
yeah, I'll just go and enjoy. I just love the arena. I love. I don't know how you guys went in, but we walked through the woods to get to the arena. I
Yeah, we
like
did the
that.
same thing. We did the same thing. We
It
followed
was so
Gordon.
much fun.
Secret shortcut.
I just find that like for me, that kind of stuff as a person who just loves basketball and has been in so many arenas, oh my God, for me, it's like, I don't know. It's almost like it's like a magical thing with a ritual attached to it. And I've only done it a couple of times, but it's such a nice arena. And I just love the whole thing about it. And, like you said, the energy in the college arena is different. And, even the NCAA tournament or the ACC tournament, you go there and the bands are playing, and it's just different.
Yeah, yeah,
Something about it.
absolutely. The NBA, when you go to professional sports, whatever it is, the NFL, the NBA, it's got a more corporate feel to it. Whereas the
Sure.
collegiate game, it's kind of got what you would say more of an amateur, but kind of pureness to it. Even though obviously it's anything but pure with the NIL stuff,
Yeah, it's
but it
getting
has
away
that
from
kind of,
us.
it has that kind of warmer feeling to it. So
Sure,
that's what I
sure.
loved about being in that arena. It just brings it all back and reminds you. And
Oh
especially
yeah,
when it's on a college campus, for instance, when we went to the ACC tournament in Brooklyn, that kind of
yeah,
maybe has a more pro feel to it because you're in a pro arena and it's a neutral
right.
site. But when you're at a college school and you're out there home floor, totally amazing. So,
Yeah, and the college games have a nice little bit of a rivalry and a hatred to them that I
absolutely.
love.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Yep. So this was obviously a rivalry game here. I don't know if you got to see any of this game, Uncle Dave, but what a
I
game
did.
it was.
I caught the whole second half.
Yep. So Virginia Tech just absolutely just shot the shit out of the ball. 11 of
Yeah,
21 3-point range.
Shuts the guy who beat Carolina at the buzzer a couple of weeks
Yeah,
earlier.
he was 4 of 8 from three. He had 18 points. He had an unbelievable shooting night. And then we talked about it earlier. Elijah Sanders missing from the Virginia
Kobe
Cavaliers.
Lawal
So,
was tough.
yep. So Lawal down low had a big game. He was 6 to 12 with 17 points. And Virginia, they played well in their own right. Like I said, even as well as Virginia Tech shot the ball, they were 8 of 23 from three, so not great, but not awful though. From the foul line, they made the same amount of free throws as Virginia Tech, so they broke even
Sure,
there. Foul calls were the same, so the officiating was pretty decent. I think Virginia definitely got hosed, I think, on a couple of calls, but all in all, though, the officiating, not the deciding factor. I'm sure if you're Ron Sanchez, there's a couple things right there where you're like, hey, they just made a great shot. And Coach
sure.
Sanchez also got a technical foul, and we were talking about it earlier. Coach Sanchez, with the referees, he could be a little more aggressive, I think, than he has been. But, then he could rebuttal and say, well, now I did try to, kind of go after the refs a little bit, and they teamed
Sure.
up, and that's the difference in the game right there. They make two foul shots on the technical and wound up winning by one.
Yeah, absolutely. And good game at the end. I didn't think Rhodey took the proper angle to the basket, but time's running out, so you really can't be selective.
Oh yeah, and he had another shot earlier in the first half where it was similar. It tried to go a reverse and left it a little short, but yeah, not
Sure.
a bad look. It was definitely an exciting game. Like Virginia Tech is up, I think it was by like 10 with like 3.5 minutes left, and Virginia had a
Yep.
nice run there to come back. So it was
Sure.
absolutely an exciting game. Isaac
Yeah.
McNeely, he had a big game, 5 of 10 from the field, and the two free throws he missed were in and out. So those
Yeah.
important.
McNeely can really stick it.
Yeah, he's a talented offensive player. Yeah, it was good. It was a good trip. We got to see the campus. Gordon showed us everything, and the game was turned out to be a really exciting, good game. So
Yeah, it just came up short. It took a bad angle on that layup.
yeah, they had a couple questionable calls against them, Virginia,
Yeah, well, Sanchez doesn't fight for the calls
and
all
well,
year long.
Coach Ron actually got a technical, and Gordon was like, "Wow, typically you don't see him doing that."
No, all year long he's just said nothing.
So you had that, and then Virginia. We'll get into it. Virginia Tech just shot the shit out of it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
they shot an incredible clip. I think they were 57% from three with like 8 minutes left in the game. They just had an
Yeah.
incredible night. And
Yep.
crazy that even with as well as they played Virginia Tech, Virginia still had a chance to win it at the end of the game there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Just
that's a rivalry game.
Virginia played well too, I mean, and a lot of the scores that Virginia Tech had, it wasn't even bad defense. It was just guys just making good shots. You know how that goes sometimes.
Yeah, well, rivalry games are.
Yeah, you play great defense and a guy just makes an excellent shot. You just shake his hand in that situation.
He runs good shit for those shooters too.
Yeah, plus Lawal he's a beast down low and
Yeah, they don't have anybody famous. Plus, they kept switching and getting posted up on it. Virginia's never switched. It was kind of bizarre.
yeah, and Virginia didn't have Saunders, so yeah, we're missing a guy down low.
Yeah.
It was kind of just a tough night, but they played really well. We've talked about it. We'll get into it obviously more, but they've just, with Tony Bennett resigning a couple weeks before the season, it's just an
Like the
impossible
substitute
situation.
teacher.
Yeah, it's just an impossible situation. The fact that they're even 10 that they're 10-12 and 3-8 is actually not half bad considering the situation they got dealt. So
The substitute teacher, basically.
yeah, that's the vibe it has for sure. They're going to be cleaning house, and the program will look totally different next year for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess some of those guys could stay and help, but they're all going to leave.
Yeah, it's just the way it is now. Just been a tough season for them. We've been over that with Coach Bennett resigning there at the end there. So I mean,
Sure,
they right now I think they're just looking to battle and scrap, and you hope you could find some momentum before you go into the ACC tournament. And then it's at that point, like you said, or we've talked about before, the records don't mean anything once you get in that tournament. So
right.
you have a situation where NC State last year had a big run where they kind of floundered during the regular season. So Virginia, you're hoping maybe they can get that going. So
Sure,
see what happens. Like you said, we have the family connect to Virginia, so we'll have
sure. The funny
eyes
thing
on them.
is, they got to avoid. Well, not everybody makes the ACC tournament now, so the first 15 make it out of 18. So they gotta make sure they get in and avoid that bottom because
Right,
the way the ACC staggers it, the more you get to the bottom, the more games you have to play.
right. So that's obviously makes it a lot more difficult when you don't have as good of a record because then you have to just win more, and you're a team
Sure,
that's not as talented, obviously, if you have a record where you're not as good as the top team. So, all right,
sure.
what were some other games, Uncle Dave, that you saw or during the last time we spoke that you really caught your
Well,
eye and where everything's
uh,
right now?
we could go with tonight a little bit. Kentucky, another loss tonight. St. John's beat Marquette tonight. Marquette is the only team in America that doesn't get punished for their losses. I told you last week this is not a top 20 team. They lost again tonight. I know it's the St. John's. This team has lost like 3 out of 5. How they're still ranked 11th? They must have naked pictures of somebody in the rankings. I don't know who the hell it is. Auburn smacked the crap out of Oklahoma. We've talked about Oklahoma before. They were 13-0. Now they're not even, sniffing 500 in the SEC. So that game was bad. Houston beat Oklahoma State tonight. Oklahoma State not a good situation right now with the program. Florida with a win tonight. What Clemson right now is in overtime with Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's good guards keeping them in it. Purdue beat Iowa tonight. Purdue is, Matt Painter showing you his worth and how great a coach he is. Right now, you can also find UCLA, Michigan State on. Michigan State lost to USC the other day. A little bit of a shocker. This is a really good Michigan State team, but it just goes to show you how that West Coast trip is going to be. It is not going to be easy. A bunch of ACC teams have found that out too. Going out west to play Cal and Stanford, and they've had some struggles. So it's been a lot of this week. I believe St. John's plays UConn. That is going to be a blast to watch. That so many good games.
How about that
But if you,
Arkansas Kentucky game, Uncle Dave? That was a game where Arkansas they go
yep,
in for Coach Cal. They wind up getting a win at Rupp Arena.
happy for Coach Cal. I would say that I was shocked because Arkansas had not been playing well, but he might have saved his season. There's a couple of teams that are getting hot now that weren't before, and there's a couple of teams that are really cooling off. Kansas, like I said the other day, I believe is bored. They have not been good. I guess it's really a strange situation. What's going on at Kansas? We talked about Virginia with a big upset last night against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh pretty much played themselves out of anything that's going on there. Kansas did smack Iowa State last night, though. Iowa State definitely has something going on right now, but Kansas picked it up at home, and those are only two big games last night was Virginia versus Pitt. Pitt, for them to be on the bubble, no way. 5-5, losing to Virginia at home, no good. Oregon has hit the crapper in recent weeks. They're 5-6 in the Big Ten. Nebraska has taken them out to the woodshed the other night. Nebraska's finally won a close game. Indiana lost tonight. They're really struggling. Illinois over the weekend finally got things back on the right track. Beat Ohio State, who's definitely struggling a little bit this year. Memphis is still ranked in the top 20. I don't know how in that trash league they're in. It's just not good. West Virginia picked up a dub
Uncle Dave,
against Cincy.
UAB right now in the American Atlantic Conference is second in that conference at 8-2 right now. So it's just
Yeah, it's just crazy. So Seton Hall really struggling. DePaul beat them by 17. When you're losing to DePaul by 17, we got to talk. DePaul has been good since the 1980s with Ray Meyer and his son David Meyer. The Clemson Georgia Tech game is going to triple overtime as we speak. Clemson is trying to keep this file ranking. Wake Forest has had some again some tough losses. That's to be expected in the ACC, but again, DC gets no love, so it's some of these Ken Palm net crap things. Saturday was the great day, though. We had a lot of good basketball. Auburn beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss won tonight, like I said, versus Kentucky. Big game. Duke beat the living crap out of Carolina, which is great to see.
yeah,
It
we
wasn't
saw
even
that
as
over it.
close.
We watched that game in Moe's
Yeah,
after the Virginia Tech game, and
yeah,
that's a game where like we've talked about as well with UNC and Duke, where you can kind of throw out all the stats, but every once in a while it doesn't matter though. You have a team that's just so superior, they just pummel the crap out of them, and that's just what Duke did. They took care of business at home.
yeah. It wasn't even as close to 17. It was between
No,
25 and 30 the whole
no,
night.
no, exactly. UNC cut it down actually at the end there, right?
This is the least talented front court I've ever seen in my
Yeah,
hatred
you've
of
been
you
you
of
you mentioned
UNC.
that. You said where's the good? Usually UNC has good bigs up front, and
Oh
like,
God, two things UNC always does: run the floor and have good bigs. And I'll tell you, I've hated UNC for 40 plus years. This is the worst front court they've ever had. So
yeah,
maybe there's a dry up in the recruiting. That's why Hubert's getting a little grief.
you don't have an Eric
Uh,
Montross on this team.
sure. Shocking game of the day though. Tennessee beating the crap out of Florida without Ziegler on Saturday. That was nuts. Tennessee has trouble scoring, but again, they eke out 64 points, but they hold Florida to 44. I still don't like Tennessee as much as everybody else does. I respect them
I
to
agree
hell.
with you. I think there's just like you said, the too many scoring droughts with them.
Texas Tech beats Houston by one. Houston fell off a little bit after such a big win. UConn beat Marquette, and again, Marquette. I'm just tired of hearing about it. I don't see it. Baylor had beaten Kansas that day after Kansas was up 21. That was crazy. It's the biggest blown lead in Kansas history. Louisville finally lost to Georgia Tech, who Georgia Tech is hot, and they're playing Clemson right now in overtime. We talked about that. St. John's beat Providence. Georgetown has really come down to earth here. Wake Forest beat Pitt by 2, and I think that's why Pitt. I think is done. Nobody else seems to think that. Villanova lost a heartbreaker to Creighton. The kid hits the side of the backboard that goes in.
Oh God, the
Uh,
ending of that game. Oh my goodness, the guy banks a three in from the corner. It's
just
impossible.
terrible.
You shoot that shot 1,000 times, you cannot duplicate that.
And Florida State lost to BC. That's a really bad loss. And Leonard Hamilton, obviously, we know is stepping down after the other day. Obviously, there's that thing where the 6 players have claimed that he promised some nil
Yep,
things,
we talked about it a couple shows ago. Yep.
so he is stepping down. So we got that going on here. So it's a tough situation, but at the same time, like you know, it's college basketball, and the ACC has gone through such changes. Roy Williams, Coach K, Tony Bennett, Jim Larinaga, and Hamilton all within 2 or 3 years. Just incredible. Plus other guys who've been let go or come into the league. The league has gone through such a change. It's wild. It's the ACC is in a state of flux. Baylor looks okay, so it's exciting time. It's again, it's a lot of cannibalization. Arkansas might have saved their season. So if we take a gander here at some of the standings, Arkansas might have saved their season. We have to see. Because Cal, I was happy for Cal to get booed out of Kentucky when
Yeah,
you
that
win
was.
like
I thought that was absolutely insane for him to boo him. I mean, he definitely he
yeah, when you
won
win
a
it at
lot
a
of games
seven
with him.
yeah, when you win it at a 780 clip, I think people have got to back off a little bit, but
Yeah,
the
they're
world's gotten
insane.
crazy
I mean, yeah,
because of
obviously you didn't win as many national championships. You won one with him, so you
sure,
probably thought you should have won more. But the guy did
sure,
win a national championship for you, and you won a hell of a lot of games. So I mean, enough,
sure,
right?
sure. And like, the ACC right now, people forgetting SMU. SMU's 8-3. That's a team that's really
Like you
good
said,
score the
that's a
ball.
scrappy team to keep an eye out for.
That's 5 teams. That's 5 players on that team could score the ball. Florida State beat Notre Dame tonight. Notre Dame is starting to struggle a little bit. The Wildcats keeping pace with Houston now, just hanging below the radar. Texas Tech is really good. Iowa State falling off. Like I said, Baylor Bears stepped up. Johnny Dawkins' UCF teams are playing tough, but they're losing tough games. Like Northwestern is in the Big Ten, losing some tough games. Seton Hall is just going through something, and you feel for Coach. Had that great run at St. Peter's. You take a job at Seton Hall, and Seton Hall is certainly winnable. But with these new rules, can Seton Hall compete? Do they have the facilities? Do they have that kind of money to compete? You've been there, very small campus. Facilities are not what you might think you need for that kind of level. You've been to Seton Hall's campus.
Yep.
So it's a tough situation. So Shaheen Holloway, who we all love from his days back at the Hall, takes that job, and Coach Willard, he got away from there and went down to Maryland, obviously, and here we are.
It's a tough. It's a
It's
tough. It was a tough place to win before the NIL. It might be even tougher now.
and that's why Willard did such a great job, and he beat the posse out of town, and he was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. So
Get
you
out while
can't
the
blame him
getting's
for
good,
that.
right?
What's that?
Get out while the getting's good.
Yeah, well, he had a chance to get Maryland, who's going to pour resources in. My I hate to say this, my guys at Rutgers are 4-7. I think we're in some trouble. Indiana Hoosiers fans getting restless, 5-7. Like I said, it's not acceptable in some places, but Indiana thinks this is the '80s when they had Bob Knight, and you could
No.
use an arena like Assembly Hall was considered good enough. Today, that kind of arena is not filling up. Although I like traditional arenas like Assembly Hall, you got to put the money in, and they're
And if
not
it
doing it.
wasn't, and
And
if it wasn't up to standard for some kids, well, you were going for Bob Knight. That
yeah,
that really nullified it.
yeah,
But like you said,
and
now people, a kid now going to Indiana, they don't give a crap about the days that happened under Bob Knight. They want to know what you're
no,
going to do now. So
look at Penn State here. 3-9 in the Big Ten. They were they were 10-1,
you
and now
talked
they're
about Penn
three.
State earlier in the year, how they had a great start and this
They did.
falling off now.
Coach Rhodes, Lebanon Valley grad, had it going over there, and here you are now. You're just struggling, and again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but the cannibalization with these leagues is something that we have not
Yep.
seen. These
A lot
these
of
these
teams
eight.
you get that sugar rush and they get out to a hot start and then they hit
Yep.
that comes back down. They have that that
These eight.
decompress.
Yeah. These 18 to 20 team leagues. There's no way to fake this.
Yeah, the high is
Uh,
wearing off now.
yeah, someone's getting beat, and Penn State was 9-1. Now he's just, you all of a sudden it's rough. It's really rough. But you can see Arkansas now is 2-6 in the SEC, but I don't think it's going to save them. But at least they got a little bit more of a week or two. Georgia Bulldogs 3-6, falling on some tough times. Texas has woken up at 4-5. I still don't think they're legitimate enough to get in. Vanderbilt was in the top 25 for a sniff, then got beat. Kentucky's the one who's going down, falling off here. Kentucky was given so much praise so early, and then they got a little bit of injury with Carr being out and some other guys being out. It's really hurt them. It's not what everybody thought it was going to be at the beginning for Kentucky. Everybody overrates people based on December and November, and it's just insane to do that. But that's what these guys do in these rate rankings, these Ken Palm and these Nets. They encourage you to blow out people by 40, which really, to me, doesn't show whether you're a great team or not. But again, Texas Tech looking good. They
How
beat
about that,
Baylor
Uncle Dave? They
tonight.
beat they beat Baylor. They've won their last seven now, Texas Tech. I
Yep.
know you've
Old
talked about
Miss.
Chris Beard about how great he is. He really is an
Yep.
excellent coach.
Old Miss beat Kentucky by 14, and that's Chris Beard there. I'm happy for Old Miss. And it's Kentucky, like I said, a lot of talent, but I think, we overrated them a little bit early. They had a good win versus Duke, I believe it was. So since then, that's just been seems like everybody's gonna, get into that. Like I said, good late games tonight. Arizona, BYU, Michigan State, and UCLA. And Mick Cronin, after his tirade, seems to have done well.
Yeah, we have, and then for the rest of I think that also with let's see here. Houston, their last game. Oh yeah, they lost in overtime to Texas Tech there. So
Yeah,
Houston is another team where I really like watching them play defensively, an excellent team too. So it's but like you said, these ebbs and flows. It's really only a few teams that really haven't had that. The rest of the teams
right.
have had up and downs. You have only a handful where they've really been steady the whole year. Like
Sure.
you said, a lot of teams they start out hot, now all of a sudden they come crashing back down. Really, you have the Duke is the one that stands out to me. That's that and Auburn. Besides that, you kind of every other team has really had some
Absolutely.
obviously more highs than not, but a couple lows there. Really, Duke and
Yeah,
Auburn.
the only thing Duke has to watch out for is going to the road tomorrow night to the Dome. Tough place to shoot, and all of a sudden you go out there and you,
Yes, even
like you
though
did versus
Syracuse is
Wake
not a great
Forest,
team, it's still tough, right?
and you go 1 for 11 because you're just making one pass and a jack because you're
Right,
looking for the quick knockout.
right.
You could be in a dogfight.
That's a
Tennessee
game
hosting
where
Missouri.
Coach Shire's got to be on his A game coaching.
Absolutely. And Illinois hosted them. Right. Duke plays Illinois in New York in a couple of weeks. That's a fun game. Missouri's at Tennessee tomorrow. That'll be a really good game to watch. At 7 o'clock. Louisville, Boston College. It's funny because the Louisville coach had taken the job at BC and then handed it back. So it was kind of like a black, you get blackballed for that, but he still wound up back in the business, obviously at a higher level school at Louisville. So it's funny stuff. Other games tomorrow night. Some
Auburn,
smaller
Oklahoma,
league.
Uncle Dave. No,
What's that?
Auburn, Uncle. Oh, they played. Did they play tonight? Auburn and Oklahoma.
Auburn beat the hell out of them.
Yeah,
Tomorrow night,
98-70. Woo.
Rutgers plays Illinois tomorrow night at 8:30 at the Rack. They got to get it done here. Providence Creighton is a good game. Providence has to step up if they want to turn this thing around.
Missouri, Tennessee.
SMU rolls. Yeah, SMU rolls into Virginia Tech. SMU keeps this thing going. They're going to be tough.
Yeah, they've been like you said, they've been kind of a scrappy pain in the ass school the whole year. They're a team. They're dangerous. I think if you get them in the
Yeah,
tournament, the
yeah.
ACC tournament for sure.
And then you got a really big game late tomorrow night that people don't talk about. Wake Forest at 8-3 got to go out to Stanford at 7-4, and that's a trap for Wake. These teams have not played well when they went that way.
Right.
Nebraska at Washington tomorrow night. Two teams that fighting for their lives basically. And these games are exciting. And Georgia's got to get it going too, as we speak about before. Georgia's hit the skids a little bit, 3-6 in the league, and
Arkansas and Texas to me is interesting too. That game, Arkansas at
yeah,
Texas.
the winner will have a shot. The loser
Right.
could just stop the bus.
This is
It's just not
this
going to
is
work out.
this is really a time here where if you're kind of on the bubble or on the cusp here, you either fight and you scrap and you have meaningful basketball here the last month, or you're making your Cancun plans very early.
Well, it's nut cutting time, as we
Yep.
used to say in the business. It's nut cutting time, and so someone tomorrow night is going to get something out of that game. Arkansas at 2-6, they got to step it up. But like we said, if they get a win, maybe they get a little momentum tomorrow night. If they don't get that win,
It gets
obviously,
dark real soon.
yeah, get dark real soon. You go 2-7. I don't want to hear about you're in a tough league. You're 2-7. You got to win a game. I don't give a crap what league you're in.
Right.
Really need to look into that
And even though
NCAA rule about fair
you're the
fun.
youngest team in the SEC, no one gives a crap about that either. So
Nah, the fans gambling on their parlays don't give a crap. They want it. They want a W. The alumni want a W. No one cares. Clemson down 3 now with 3.5 on the clock at home in triple overtime against Georgia Tech. So the Georgia Tech guard got it going today. He's got over 30, and he was a stud. That's why I thought Georgia Tech would have a better year this year. They are 4-7. They've been hot lately, but still, I thought Georgia Tech with the guards would be a little bit better this year.
I think two games Uncle Dave keep an eye on tomorrow: Oregon at Michigan, and then Missouri at Tennessee. I think those are two big games tomorrow night
Yeah,
as well.
Michigan is a really good team, very underrated. They got the big kid. They got some good guards. Obviously, they got coach over there doing a solid job.
Getting rid
Them
of
and
Juwan
Michigan,
Howard, Uncle Dave, is all it took, huh?
them and getting rid of them and Michigan State are in solid position at Michigan. Michigan's gonna have some good basketball in March. I really believe in Michigan State a lot. I'm hoping that they don't win, but I think they're going to be pretty tough to get rid of. But again, right now, I guess Auburn is playing the best. I like Auburn's depth. I like their style of play. Coach
Yeah.
Pearl does a good job. Duke is really playing good defense on Carolina the other night. They just ate them. And that was good to just literally kick the living crap out of Carolina. I guess there's nothing I love more than that.
Love to see that, don't we?
Oh, God, it's that damn stupid ass blue they have. Jesus God. Makes me
Well,
want to
we've
puke.
talked about it. We've mentioned it a bunch of times. Hubert is definitely on the hot seat. I think how they end their season could determine what happens if they bring him back or not.
Well, I hate to say it, but even the year they made the run and they had that big lead at half, I didn't like what I saw from him coaching. I know they were winning
Yeah,
games, but that team was loaded.
right.
So the thing is, like, yeah, he was winning games, but that team was loaded, and you could see it. Just he was just making glaring mistakes. And I'm not rooting against Hubert Davis. He's one of, if I have such a
Oh, a
thing
very
as a favorite.
likable guy, actually. I think
Yep.
great commentator too. Played in the NBA. I certainly always, when
So
he
played
talked,
played
I
for
always
those
listened to
'90s
him.
Knicks teams. I mean, so I
Yep.
have nothing but respect for Hubert as a Carolina guy, even though I don't like Carolina guys.
Right.
But just amazing. Penn State lost again tonight to Minnesota. Oh my goodness, can't
Yep.
do that.
Yep. It's really
Uh,
going
so
south
you
for
know,
Penn State.
uh, it's a tough situation, but it's good to see Carolina get their ass handed to them. Cooper Flag in the first 5 minutes of that game showed you why I think he's such a good player. His mental uh, understanding of the game is just incredible for
I
his
think
age.
what people aren't talking about is like some of the he thinks the game. He's always a step or two ahead. He's some of the
Yeah,
passes he's making are unbelievable. I mean, cross court passes. I mean, hitting guys right in the shooting pocket,
yeah.
cross court, just incredible. That's something that you don't see guys really making that at that height too. The way he can handle the ball and his shooting range is only going to get better. So to me, he's the clear number one pick in the NBA draft, no
Oh
question.
God, yeah. If
Player.
you don't take him first, you're insane.
Yeah.
The scary thing about him is he's only 18. So it's just kind of scary. I think
Yep.
I think that
In the summertime, we saw him getting buckets on the NBA's best players during the Olympic game. They had, like you said, the college guys play the NBA guys, and he was scoring on those guys. So he's certainly the consensus
better
number one
athlete than
pick.
people give him, but his understanding is freakish. He's
Yes.
and that's why I take him over Zion any day of the week.
Yep. There's no question. Like we talked about too, what the sweet irony of that is that New Orleans, if right now, if the season ended and they got the way the percentages work, they would have the number one pick. So he would be the guy replacing Zion.
Rumors that they're trying to shop Ingram in the Pelicans.
Yeah, just blow it up now at this point, right? I mean, just get what you can for those guys and then have, plan for the future. That's what they should do right now, I
How
think.
disappointing! How disappointing have the Pelicans been? I mean, you had
Oh
Ingram,
yeah. Murray.
you had the stud guard, you had Zion, and you had the kid from Georgia Tech, who's a great little point guard. I mean, Jesus Lord,
Yeah,
they just suck.
to me that's just absolutely devastating, I think for sure. You
And I
had,
felt
like you
bad
said,
because the coaches were the victims.
Ingram, McCollum, and Zion. You right there, you should be able to do something with that right there, and
Yeah,
it's
and
just
the and
not
then you
realized.
you know then you bring the guard in from Georgia Tech. I mean, who did a good job. I mean, here you are. The coaches are the ones that suffer. Gentry gets tossed. They all get tossed. It's just sad,
Yeah, it is. It is.
and
So
nobody can motivate Zion from having pizza late at night, I guess, or Ingram who won't lift a weight. It's just the same old crap. It's really sucks, and you can go
nope.
through all the coaches you want.
The window closes very quickly. So
Yes, it does. And their window is definitely closed because to the West.
yep. Nope. It's
In the West, you don't get much of a window to start with.
nope. So it's over
I
and done
mean,
with.
it's a little better in the East, but not much.
Nope. Nope. Unless you have a guy that's going to be anchor your franchise and is a reliable human, like a
Sure,
Tim Duncan or a Steph Curry, it's really hard to be great for long haul.
sure. Tim Duncan, the forgotten greatness. He's just
Oh, absolutely. Already
incredible.
forgotten. Already forgotten.
Tim Duncan was so good. Clemson loses by 3 at home to Georgia Tech. They got a great look, but back rim. So Georgia Tech pulls off a big upset at Clemson. This will hurt Clemson, and Clemson will still get in the tournament unless you're just
What's great
so.
about college basketball now, Uncle Dave, you have for a lot of teams now, it already has a playoff feel for them. If you're a team that's right around 500, those teams right now, they're digging in early right now. It already feels like
Sure,
postseason competition for them. If your team that
sure.
are at the top of the standings right now, I'm not saying you're in cruise control, but you realize, okay, we kind of know where we're going to be at the end of the year. But these other teams right now, you're fighting right now if you're in the middle of the pack there or at the bottom half.
Oh, every night's an NCAA tournament game, and it's like I said, this Ken Palm and this net crap is so stupid because it's not done with any brain cells, and it never works out because the conferences they always blow every year wind up doing nothing in the tournament. So it's kind of funny because the tournament's the ultimate elixir of greatness. So Tigers, yeah, Clemson, tough loss tonight at home. They'll be they'll be very disappointed in that locker room.
We'll wrap it up there, Uncle Dave. Until next time, all right?
Sure, sure.
All right, all you basketball fans out there, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you.